Welcome to On the Firing Line on the information station, AM 1440 KUHL. Information, education, news, and politics of firearms and ammunition is found here. If you have any questions, call us at 1-888-625-1440. That's 1-888-625-1440.
Likely to miss payment to bondholders. The gunmaker faces a $10.9 million payment to bondholders November 17th,
Okay, let's check.
according to a filing on Wednesday with the U.S.
Is it that
Securities
one?
and Exchange
Hello?
Commission. If Colt skips the payment, it will enter a 30-day grace period.
One second, Kanani, let me interrupt you. I'm sorry, the microphones are having technical problems, and I think Kanani was getting overridden by our metal music there. So yeah, that was her entrance music. Anyway.
Is the light on in two? Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Oh, I see why.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But-
Sorry, Kanani. They did
Bum,
something.
bum, 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 bum,
Swapping the
bum.
microphones.
You are on the firing line. Anyway, give us a call at today's show, 1-888-625-1440, or if you're in the Santa Maria area, give us a call at 928-1440. All right.
Well, it wasn't silence, but...
No.
That's
Take it
true.
away,
That's
yeah.
true.
Yes. Minor setback.
Here we go again.
All right, Colt Defense LLC warned that it could default by the end of the year as the privately owned company, which has suffered from declining demand for rifles and handguns, is likely to miss a payment to bondholders. The gunmaker faces a $10.9 million payment to bondholders on November 17th, according to a filing on Wednesday with the U.S. Securities Exchange Commission. If Colt skips the payment, it will enter a 30-day grace period, but without payment by December 15th, it will be in default and the bondholders can demand immediate full payment. Colt, which is controlled by investment firm Scenes Capital Management LLC, had a $248.8 million outstanding on the bonds as of June 29th. The bonds were trading in the mid-30 cents on the dollar, deep in distressed territory on Thursday, from the Wall Street Journal.
Wow.
That's crazy. Yeah, so, man, Colt, that's some crazy numbers for Colt. They're up against it then.
Yeah.
So, wow, I'm glad, but Colt being one of the more, they have the military contracts. So, that's right. Good point. They had a military contract, and they had a very good, long-standing military contract.
Absolutely.
So I can only hope that they, hopefully they made enough money through that to sustain their battle.
Well, I actually read on another article that they were missing some of those government payments, which is why they weren't able to pay back these bondholders.
Yeah, well, I guess if the government owes you money, you might be kind of rock hard place there.
Yeah.
Oh, man, bummer for them.
Well, that's insane because Colt has been God, do I dare say a household name for firearms?
Well, it is.
For generations.
It's one of those. If you ask the general person, it's probably one of 2 or 3 companies they could name.
Yeah, Winchester, Colt, in
maybe Remington.
Right. I would hate to see Colt go by, and lose it completely. Although sometimes that's what happens with businesses. Mm-hmm. That's why I didn't want the government to bail out any of the car manufacturers.
That's a good point. I remember when that was going on, we were talking, and that it creates new ideas,
exactly.
And it creates people to progress and progression, and that's, it sucks at the time when somebody's getting pushed out, but ultimately, if you're making the better goods, you have all the right in the world to push out people who aren't making stuff as good as you are.
God, I love capitalism.
Duh.
It's a healthy competition.
Very excellent thing. A very excellent competition.
Colt, though, we have seen quite I don't know how to put this. I guess we've seen quite a lot less available from Colt than we've seen before.
Oh, yeah.
Colt does not manage the market like they used to. It's not like you go down to the store and all your choices are this type of Colt, that type of Colt, and that type of Colt, and then maybe a Glock, Springfield, or something else.
Yeah, it's almost to the point where, most stores, they might carry 1 or 2 in stock, but it pretty much comes down to a special order type deal with Colt. Even with 1911s, which is kind of like the staple, a lot of people think that a 1911 by default is a Colt, and they're just one of the originators, that's all.
Right.
So.
I'm wondering why Colt hasn't taken the initiative to actually go further with their product. and meet the new demands? Are they that stuck up on themselves that they don't think they need to make changes? I mean, their 1911 designs haven't changed for years now.
Yeah, but I mean, look at it from the other hand of the way they build their rifles. I mean, they have the new 6920s and the new, a couple different models, and that's something that's been born out of the last 2 years, the market, the last 2 years.
Right. But think of this too. In what you're saying, Colt used to have the name. When you thought of an AR, you thought of Colt, and oh my God, match bar. This is like the top of the line AR that I could ever possibly get. And now Colt is really a low middle of the run.
Right. It's just kind of like, exactly. It's nothing really special, but it's nothing that sucks. It's just a normal. It's a 5.
Right.
On a 1 out of 10, it's 5.
Right.
But you're totally right. Where it did used to have, if you had a Colt, and I guess if you have one of those older ones, are they made any better than the new ones?
That's a good question.
Is it a better thing to possess one from the 80s than it is, other than the obvious reasons?
When I bought my ARs, I never once considered Colt to be one of the ones that I wanted to buy.
Yeah, I've never. One of our friends, I think, has a Colt, and that was just because happened to be the gun that was there when they got it.
What about you, Kanani? Have you, when you were buying ARs, you and your husband, did you guys ever once consider Colt?
No. And it could potentially be because there was not enough information about sort of what was out there. We sort of saw what was available and kind of thought what we liked, and that's what we ended up getting. Right. I think now if we saw the entire breadth of what's available, that it could very well be something that we would. But then we're also looking at affordability and quality and what you're getting for your money and what you could get different parts for and whatnot. So I think there's probably more going on than just a name recognition.
Right.
Good point, name recognition.
Yeah, and that's a good point. Yeah, exactly. Because people are paying. Yes, you will. People are paying extra bucks without even knowing it because it has the pony, the Colt pony, and sometimes they even do it well. They know that they're paying more just because of that, and they're okay with it. And that's where Colt has kind of won. It's because they've won the battle of the minds at least. Because if people are willing to pay more just to have a pony stamped on their gun, then heck.
That's a good point, because that's really what it boils down to. Of course, it's going to be a decision that you're going to have to make for yourself. And maybe in all your research, you out there, you might find that still is the gun for you.
Yeah, totally.
And that's totally fine. As long as it's going to work and last, then I guess that's really the ultimate question and answer right there that only you can answer, for your own tastes. But I really don't see Colt standing up. Yeah. And here's another thing, trading at 30 cents.
Yeah, that's pretty darn low.
Yeah. 30 cents on the dollar.
Smith & Wesson knocked it out of the park. They were one of the biggest growing stock people. Last year, I think.
Yeah,
it was?
last year it was
stock
crazy. Growth? Yeah, after it was for fiscal 2012, 2013, they were like huge.
Right.
And that was and partially there was a lot of buying firearm purchases going on in that time, and Smith & Wesson did a really good campaign with the M&Ps. They did, they advertised the handguns well, the rifles well, and I think that is where they beat Colt.
Right.
It was pretty much at the advertisement.
So maybe we should be out there buying Colts right now as collector's items.
Well, kind of sad but true. If they do go out of business, because right now, let's face it, a Colt 1911 is worth more. If you line them up, two 1911s, same. One that's a Colt is generally going to be worth more than X company.
Right.
Just because it's a Colt. So if you take that factor and then you take the fact that the company doesn't exist more, then yeah, they're going to go up in price. So the time to buy is now, if that's what you're looking for.
But I'd actually like to see another gun manufacturer come out and buy Colts if they're in this big of a pickle.
And kind of save them and let them keep the name.
Yeah.
What was Bloomberg's foundation or company that was going around buying up gun companies? Do you guys remember that?
I remember that, but I do not remember the name.
Oh, gosh.
Because it had some name.
If I could only remember, because there's a subsidiary of Bloomberg stuff. And what everybody was worried about is that this company would go around buy up all of the gun manufacturers, ammo manufacturers, and just shut them down.
Yeah, and overnight we would have nothing to buy. There would be no more product.
And I could have sworn that I had read an article that actually talked about that company thinking about helping out with Colt. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, the writing's on the wall.
Yeah, no joke.
Oh, my goodness. You know what? If anybody else can find that and wants to call it in, that would be fantastic. Call it in. Give us the information at 888-625-1440. Or if you're in the 928-1440 area, give us a call and give us that information. Because it's good information. I'd like everybody else out there to have it. And, hey, get you on the air and let you express your emotions and feelings about all this crud. You know, touchy-feely emotions. Those things are great.
Those are the good ones. Those are the good ones.
All right.
All right. So should we go ahead and break off for a memento, and we'll be back with more On the Firing Line.
Yes, as we talk about the Ninth Circuit Court decision
One step
to
closer.
ban Kamala Harris.
Kamala.
All right, to ban the DOJ, the California DOJ, and also the Brady campaign, combined with a couple of other anti-gunners, from being able to get involved in this case. And there's a lot about it that we're going to discuss. So make sure you stay tuned and listen to what's happening.
You're listening to On the Firing Line on the information station.
This is On the Firing Line with Matt, Jim, and Joe. We'll be right back with you on the firing line. If you have any questions, give us a call at 888-625-1440 or in the Santa Maria area, 928-1440. Don't forget, you can always listen in on am1440.com.
Tactical Guns and Gear is the Central Coast leader in tactical rifles, pistols, shotguns, and accessories. Building an AR-15, they have lower receivers, parts kits, trigger groups, and a ton of other AR parts from the most popular companies and stuff.
They are also the home of the Women's 101 Firearms and Women's Advanced Pistol classes and have trained thousands of local ladies.
The store is located off the 101 freeway in Santa Maria near the North Broadway exit. Look for the big rifle sign on the freeway as well as the giant 5-ton Tactical military truck, and they're now open on Mondays. America!
On the Firing Line is happy to have Law Offices of Christopher Coleman as a sponsor. The Law Offices of Christopher Coleman is located in Santa Barbara on 2019B State Street, specializing in personal injury and, more importantly, the Second Amendment and On the Firing Line with Matt and Joe. Give them a call at 805-682-3352, serving the Santa Barbara, Santa Maria, and San Luis Obispo areas for over 25 years.
Have you been looking for a new or used motorcycle or all-terrain vehicle?
With a staff that has a combined 270 years of experience to inspire and help you make that informed decision.
Santa Maria Motorcycles is your one-stop shop, and their mission is to provide you with that ultimate experience.
They also have rentals, so you can take that ride you have been dreaming of up the coast.
They're located at 2022 Presker Lane in Santa Maria, or give Chris and his team a call at 805-928-3668. Again, that's 805-928-3668.
We're happy to have a special guest here today at the Plumbing Talk Studios, Jeremy Griffin, owner of Griffin Plumbing in Orcutt. Welcome, Jeremy.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So, Jeremy, the reason your plumbing company is called Griffin Plumbing is that your last name is, in fact, Griffin.
Yeah, that's right.
Unbelievable! Griffin, just like the legendary creature with the body of a lion and the wings of an eagle.
Yeah.
What a brilliant move, Jeremy.
I'm a genius.
To name your plumbing company after this majestic creature. A creature known not only to have divine power, but also to be a protector from all things evil.
Well, it is my last name.
Audience, listen carefully. If your plumbing devices are threatened in any way, I implore you to seek the power and protection of the Griffin.
We're always here to help. Just give us a call.
Call the Griffin.
Find us at callgriffinplumbing.com or call 934-1949.
You are on the Firing Line with Joe, Matt, and Kanani.
First one out is a green M&M.
Ooh, winner, M&M dinner. That's right. Give us a call, 928-1440 or 1-888-625-1440. So what's next on deck?
Take it away, Kanani.
Oh, I guess we are then moving right into the California One Step Closer to Shall Issue, discussing the Peruta case.
One step closer.
Why are we one step closer? I don't get it.
Well, this week, the most recent information, I guess, or ruling out of the Ninth Circuit was that they were going to deny Kamala Harris for being able to interject and strike that down.
Why would
That
they
makes
want
sense.
to deny her from being able to interject? I don't get it.
Because she wasn't in the, I guess, the court case at the beginning of it. So they are not going to let her intervene midway through and protest, I guess.
You
Does
think
that
that's a
make
good
sense?
idea?
Yeah, that's.
So do you think, no, had she been let in, it would make it more difficult for our cause? It would.
Absolutely. If they had, she would give, I guess, additional opposition to saying that you would need a good cause in order to get a concealed carry weapons license
Oh,
in our area.
So she's the one, and now she's barred from that.
Exactly.
So by default, now what do we have? What are we up against now?
Well, to me, it kind of sounds like that the sheriff that is in that county can either say, yes, I want to dispute what that ruling is, which means that you no longer need good cause, or he can accept what that ruling is. And from what I understand, I believe he's accepted what that ruling was.
Okay. So having accepted it, meaning nothing is changing?
Nothing is, well, I guess it would be changing towards no longer needing a good cause in order to get your concealed carry permit. But I'm not entirely sure where the next steps are going to go.
Right.
Are they going to move that up to the Supreme Court, or are they just going to leave it the way it is and say, we're good, California may now become a shall issue state, and starting in this county, you can't deny them from having to provide you a good cause. Self-defense is enough.
Right, and it should be. I mean, we've said
Right.
it a million times. It's been proved over a bunch of times. But there's so many, like things that you have to do. It's just so ridiculous. I mean, there shouldn't be this much to it.
No, I don't think there should be either. And
It's
yeah.
If this is a case involving the sheriff of San Diego, Peruta versus
versus San Diego,
versus San Diego, why does she need to be involved with it? Why doesn't she just stay out of it?
Well, that would make sense. But as the Attorney General, she probably feels the need in order to support what the larger agenda or what her personal beliefs are and to interject.
So she wants to be able to control what's happening in that county?
That would be what I'd say, absolutely.
Haven't you seen? She took an oath to protect California.
So then with saying that, that's really it. It's just a closed and shut case. I thought that there was a little bit more to this.
I kind of thought there was too, but in the couple things that I read this week, there didn't seem to be any next steps. It was just, here's the verdict, here's what the latest decision is.
Right, but there's bigger picture to this whole thing.
There's got to be something at the end of it, right? I mean,
what is the bigger picture out of this whole thing?
Allowing the other counties to follow suit to say you no longer need good cause. So other counties would be able to pick up to say that according to this court case and what this ruling is with the Ninth Circuit, we also can issue permits. I mean, that's kind of where I would think it would be going.
Okay, so you think that it would give the individual from county to county, the sheriff or the police chief, the more personal decision to go ahead and
I think it kind of takes it out of
basically?
the personal decision, but would say that if you want to write down self-defense, then that is
because it already says
enough.
Look, okay.
Like, you don't have to give a good cause, like I'm being stalked and this person's going to harm me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's where they're going to say that these individual sheriffs and police officers would have to be convinced that you needed a CCW. Where now, if you want to say, I want to carry because I feel the need for self-defense, then that's enough.
But if this only changes the ruling that's happening in San Diego, why would that make all the other sheriffs change their ways?
Well, I don't think it would change the sheriff's ways. I think it allows the people a legal determination to say that the Ninth Circuit has already ruled that you do not need a good cause, therefore I should also be allowed to do this. And if that's being denied, then I will also take it to case, and because of the previous decision, it's going to weigh in my favor.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's just like the Heller case, lots of times that gets referred to shoot down other cases.
Right.
So I think you're kind of saying is that it could be used in a similar fashion, that, that now this person is, or they're going to use that in the same way.
Yeah,
Well,
legal
you did it
precedents
before.
for what they
yeah,
want.
exactly. You've done it before. Why aren't you going to do it again? And if you don't do it again, we'll sue you.
Yeah.
Do you think that other states will want to be involved in this?
I really doubt it.
Yeah, but, well...
I'm playing devil's advocate here.
No, you're not.
I think if it comes across the entire state of California and other counties pick up on it and begin to issue permits, that other states may take or may follow suit with what California is doing.
All right. Here's the thing. The way I see it, which is pretty much along the same lines except for a few differences, is what we're dealing with here now is precedents. Precedents being set by a ruling in one county that shall have ruling over all the other counties that make up the state of California and all of the other states that make up the Ninth Circuit District. There is Hawaii, there's Guam, there's Washington, there's Oregon, there's California, there's Arizona, there is Idaho, Montana. There's a number of states which will be affected by this. Some of these states already have open gun laws already and are very friendly towards guns. But then you have places like Hawaii, which is not very friendly towards guns at all. And there is a case going on there now. I forget exactly what the name of the case is, but it's based along the same kind of lines. That case, as well as the case that's happening here in California, Yolo County, I believe it is.
Yep.
These are all waiting and making judgments off of what is happening in San Diego and the precedents that's happening there. And so here's the thing. Right now we're set at the point where the same 3-judge panel has come out and said no. In a timely fashion, Kamala Harris and the Brady campaign and those involved with that were not able to stick their nose into it for a couple of reasons. When they say timely matter, there's a whole bunch of things that go into how they determine what timely matter is. First of all, none of them were involved in the case in the very beginning. Only after it was ruled unconstitutional did they want to become involved. They wanted to become involved because they felt that it would change the constitutionality of the state. And in a sense, it does change the constitutionality of the state laws, but the case was not about that. It was only about the ruling in that county. And yes, based off of that ruling in that county, it will have precedents that will change things in our state, in Oregon, in Washington, especially in Hawaii, which, again, like I said, in Hawaii, it's very hard to get a concealed weapons permit. I don't think you even can, unless you're a special person.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, even like, I told the story before when even traveling to Hawaii, they make it very difficult for you to bring a firearm into the state. Is it legal? Yes, you can do it, but you have to report it within 12 hours to the police chief of the town you're in, and you have to be able to provide proof that it's going to be in a locked box, this, that, and the other thing, The whole time that it's there, it basically has to be accounted for. Where usually, if you own the gun and you let the TSA know, then, hey, it's fine. But Hawaii was just a little bit different where you could still bring it, but they made it so, it made it undesirable, basically, just by making it not easy.
Can't have you locked up in a Hawaii jail.
No, then you guys have to do mission Operation Hawaii, come get me.
Instead of Save a Marine, save Matt.
Save Matt from Hawaii. Oh, man.
We'll just get our bikes and ride across the sea and save you.
It would work. It would work. I have faith.
All right, but back to the decision. So now that this case has been ruled upon that they cannot interfere at this point, or maybe interfere is not the correct word, being barred from intervening in this case. Number one, because it waited for so long, they didn't get involved with the case immediately. Number two, again, stating that the state of California is not the people that are being sued, it is this county. But that doesn't mean that it's over with. Kamala Harris can still come back, and because of the precedents, state that she needs a ruling by an 11-man panel. Or if they deny the 11-man panel, which is possible that they could do, she could take it to the Supreme Court if the Supreme Court will listen to it. And it's very possible, because right now we do need a ruling on this from the Supreme Court, because we have differences of opinion between the Second Circuit Court, the Seventh Court of Appeals, and the Ninth Court of Appeals. And so there's a lot of difference across the United States. I mean, you look at New York, the changes there, where I believe it's the Second Court of Appeals there ruled that no, you do not have the right to protection outside of your home. So there's a big problem. That's a direct opposite of what we're being told here by the Ninth Circuit Court. So that is why we need a Supreme Court ruling. The only way we're going to get that from this case is if Kamala takes it to the Supreme Court. Now, here's the problem with all of this. We've already got counties across California big time that are already adhering to the new law or new ruling. They're making it so that you can go in, write down that my need is good enough, or my reason for having a gun is I have the Second Amendment and I have the right to self-protection. And there are sheriffs now that are accepting that. But there are still a lot of sheriffs that are not accepting that and are waiting to see what the final outcome of this decision in this whole court ruling is going to be. It's not finalized yet.
Right. And a lot of them are probably, like before, they were always kind of iffy because they have a lot of, it falls on their shoulders. And so that's why I don't think they would be quick to jump to it. They would probably, the way I'm thinking of it, would wait it out for their own safety, basically. So they don't go ahead and get liability because, say, they issued 100 CCWs and then all of a sudden it didn't go through. I mean, it just seems like there's still too much up in the air.
Huh. That's interesting. Here's another thing, too. These weapons, these weapons. Now I've lost my train of thought here. But again, like I said, different counties are already adhering to this, although we still have a lot that are not because they are fighting against it. But some of the states have already changed. Guam has already changed how they're issuing CCWs.
I didn't know that.
Yes. We're still waiting for Hawaii to jump on it, but they're waiting to see what the outcome of all this is going to be. Right. Because from this one county, this ruling is going to have precedence over all of these areas. And this is the interesting point. This is the bigger picture. It's not as simple as just an argument happening, in San Diego.
Right. Well, because everybody in the district is going to be affected, right? In the 9th district. Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
So, I mean, there's
by
states.
this county thing, there are states, absolutely, they're going to be affected by this. Some states aren't going to care or give a darn because they're already lax on their gun laws and don't have these problems.
Right. But so, I see where you go with that, because I just, a lot of times, even myself, when I think of it, especially when I think of it as, well, it's happening down in San Diego, to me that it feels like a localized problem.
Well, it feels like it's kind of far away and doesn't even really involve us.
Well, right, exactly. And then you kind of start thinking, well, shoot, it's in California, so it's a California problem. And then you start thinking about the 9th district, and it's the 9th district's problem, therefore it's a lot of states' problems.
Right.
So I can see how easy it is to not realize the scope of it.
Let's say that the 9th Circuit goes all the way down the road saying, yep, this is the way it's going to be from now on. Well, that doesn't stop there. This thing can still go to the Supreme Court if they'll listen to it.
Well, we're debating.
Well, you know what? Okay, so we've got Jim over here in Kanani, and they're having a discussion. Go ahead, clue us in. How will this work?
The only thing that I was having trouble with, and this is what I was having trouble with the other day when I told you I read it.
Right.
I did not understand how the Attorney General of California can get involved now. She no longer had standing, and she no longer had precedence in it. So the case, just picture this case. It already went to the jury. The jury's had their decision, and now she wants to come in.
Right.
There's no appeal yet to a higher court. Now she can put in which is constitutional. She can put in a request to be heard by the 11th panel.
Right.
But that's almost futile.
It usually doesn't happen.
Well, not only doesn't it happen, but there's no reason. She can't give legitimate reason to put it there. And the other thing is that she still has no standing in the case.
Because it's not against the state,
exactly.
It is against the county.
Exactly.
That's why we're going to have problems here. But
hold on, though. Now, the one thing she does have, And that's what I was asking Kanani about. I'm almost positive about this, but if there's any legal experts out there, give us a call.
Yeah, we'd love to hear more about it.
888-625-1440 or local is 928-1440. 888-625-1440 or local 928-1440. Okay, now, the only way she could do this is say Santa Barbara County. You go down tomorrow and you start doing this in Santa Barbara County. Now we have two. So then they do it in San Luis County. Then they do it in another county. Okay, now she's got enough to say, wait a minute, now it's coming countywide and it's going to be statewide any moment, so to speak.
Well, okay, I kind of agree with you and kind of don't. The one part that I don't agree with is this. Once it becomes precedent in a county in this state, it will affect our state laws. And at that point, they need to either change the laws or go against it.
Well, this was a county law, though, right?
Yes.
Okay, but that county law was it?
Or it was a county, I don't know if it was necessarily law, but it was how he operated his procedure for the CCWs. Or
okay,
mandated.
So if Santa Barbara does it the same way, then yeah, it can. And they can just say,
well,
they've
by
ruled on
precedent,
this.
It's
Right.
going to be set as a standard across the state. Because
if they have the same standard. In other words, maybe a different county could be a little bit different. You know, maybe something different. But if it's the same thing, that you have to show cause to carry a weapon, then boom, yeah.
That's the way it's set
domino
up right
effect
now.
all the way across.
All these guys all say you have to show a reason and you have to have proof of a viable threat so that you can carry that gun.
But again, I'm wondering how state law can get into this.
The only way that she can do it is to go back to the panel and bank, I think is what it's called, and get an 11-man ruling on this. So you can go back to the Ninth Circuit and still ask for an 11-man ruling.
It's like, you ever
then
go
if
to
they
court?
say no, then they can take it to the Supreme Court.
You ever go to court with your friend? Your friend's got a parking ticket or something, and your friend stands up and starts just, hey, blah, blah, blah. But then you go, hey, and he turns around and goes, well, you tell him. And you stand up and you go, hey, and the judge goes, who are you?
Right.
Were you there?
Yeah, no. Who are you? And you say, well, you're not part of this. He's got to talk for himself. Sit down.
Yeah.
That's the same thing. That's the same thing. You got nothing. You got nothing. You're not representing this person at all. The only thing you're giving me now is an argument after the fact.
Well, let me
that
see
doesn't
if I can
happen.
give you some argument after the fact.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what Miss Harris is trying to do right now.
Well, that's exactly what she's trying to do.
That's why I was making a really bone. Did you want to say something?
Especially since the San Diego sheriff decided not to appeal the ruling.
That really hurt. That's like dead in the water.
Yes.
The original petitioner's now dead in the water.
You're so far away from the mic, I can't hear you.
Oh, here goes.
I'm sorry. I wasn't thinking. I don't know why. I'm letting my mind do the work.
Easy.
Once he said no, that's the original petitioner. That's the original defendant, basically.
Okay.
In the case, because it's Peruta versus, right?
Right.
So he's the original guy, or he's the representation of the county of the original person. Okay. Once he says no, unless somebody can pick this up out of a jigsaw puzzle, he's the guy. If he decides not to go any further, he doesn't.
All right, but I think the bigger picture is still precedence.
I think it has precedence. I think it does.
Well, here, listen to this. The Peruta decision creates an opportunity for the U.S. Supreme Court to settle some unresolved Second Amendment issues that desperately need resolving. The Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals has agreed with the principles, though not the specific details of the Peruta ruling in another NRA-supported case of Shepard versus Madigan and the related case of Moore versus Madigan. In these cases, challenging Illinois' previous policy of not allowing citizens to bear arms in public, the Seventh Circuit Court held that prohibiting any form of carrying arms in public was unconstitutional.
There. That's the seventh. That's two courts.
That's two courts. Rather than risk having that ruling confirmed, okay, to get it confirmed, what would they have to do? They'd have to go to the Supreme Court, right? They'd have to take it the rest of the way. Or it dies there and it is confirmed. Illinois did not seek Supreme Court review. Meanwhile, 3 other circuits have gone the opposite direction and held that there is no right to bear arms outside the home. Kachalski versus Casase in the Second Circuit, New York, Drake versus Filco in the Third Circuit, New Jersey, and Woolward versus Gallagher in the Fourth Circuit.
Yeah, but they're all in the same area, same type of situations over there, which is hyper hyper, and I'm going to say that hyper Second Amendment people. They do not want the Second Amendment to exist.
Right.
So these courts, yeah, they come out of that same flow. These courts could be picked out of the same thing. I mean, the rule of law.
Well, that's true, except for one thing. Ninth Circuit of Court of Appeals, I mean, you could
Most liberals.
take it to the Supreme Court, and that's where the final ruling gets done. If the open,
But I think it's already done here. Listen to me very carefully. The original petitioner, or the original person that was sued, is no longer pursuing the case. That means somebody else has to pick it up, and they have to have standing in the case. And the only one who can would be possibly the Attorney General of California. That's the only one that I can think of.
So you don't think because of precedence it will change the law? Not that it's changing the law,
The law
but
is
because
now.
of precedence, it's changing the law.
They've already said the law that you are trying to enforce, stop. That's what that court said. Stop it now. It's illegal. That's what they're saying. So anybody in San Diego County now can carry a gun without even telling anybody now.
How's that?
Well, because they're saying that the Peralta won. They won. It's their ruling. They won. You can. What did he want? He wanted to carry without getting a signed certificate from the teacher, right? I mean,
no. He wanted to be able to get a permit from the sheriff by merely saying, "I have the right through the Second Amendment to carry this gun."
And he does. He can. They cannot turn him down.
Unless, of course, he has bad moral or he has a bad background. And in this case, it would appear
only a felony.
Right. In this case, no, not just a felony. There are other things in the state of California that can bar you.
They can bar you in California for a felony only, or what's the other one? You guys would know.
There's mental illness. There's
besides
domestic violence, which is misdemeanor.
domestic violence falls underneath there. Convicted
Convicted of domestic violence stops you from getting a gun for 10 years.
I did not know that. I'm sorry. I did not know that.
Certain DUIs can result in
yeah, I know that. I knew that.
In keeping you
but
from
that's
your
because
firearms.
you've got it's an elevation of the degree of the drunk driving. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so there are different
or
misdemeanors.
jails and stuff like that. Yeah,
certain threats can keep you from getting a gun. There are a number of different things.
Threats?
Yeah. From what I understand, there are some threats
criminal threats, can be like criminal threats and the terrorist threats.
New laws. Because I'm thinking, wait a minute, new laws.
It just means that they can be used in that manner.
Right,
It doesn't mean that they will be.
right. But I thought it only had to be convictions. It's convictions. That's the big deal. Felony convictions
To
or.
my understanding, that's what it is.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I was pretty sure. Yeah, I mean, I was pretty sure of that. But anyway, now they can. They can. If you are in good standing, in other words,
you know, I'll have to go
that.
back and read the case and see if there's any stay until there's a final decision or anything. But if
there's
what
no stay, they made the decision. There's no
so then
stay.
it's done.
It's done. I'm telling you, it's done.
So that means anybody in California, or at least in that county right now, they would have to take each sheriff and each police chief to court.
But you could actually, you don't even have to do that. You can actually use that as your weapon. You can actually use that as your weapon already. Well, this county doesn't. Well, we don't do it in this county. Well, okay, then we'll just bring the same suit against you. It's a threat. And they would just fold they don't want. I don't know unless this county will do
All
it.
right. Are there any lawyers out there listening to the show right now? You have got to give us a call. Tell us what you think. And tell us, because I'm hoping Jim's right. 100% I'm hoping that he's right.
That's what I'm thinking. Is just
Well, the decision has been made. The decision is there.
Right. The decision's been made.
There's no stay on the decision yet.
They are not allowed to intervene. Then why hasn't it taken place already?
It probably is. The guy who got the news isn't going to report it that much. Only people who care. So it probably. I mean, once the decision is made, boom, it's made. Now it may take some.
I've heard that argument before too. It's just like being sentenced. You get sentenced, boom, you're gone.
It depends on the crime. If you're on bail, you still could get a time of representation. In other words, say for instance, if you're convicted of a crime, if you're convicted of a major crime, you go to jail right then there. If you're convicted of a major crime to do major time, you go.
I've heard that argument for this. They made the decision. They've made their statement. It's done.
Right. It is. It's done. Until there's a stay on it, and until somebody appeals this decision, the decision is final. What are you going to do? Well, I think we should wait around. No, it's now.
Why can't they take it to the Supreme Court and have it have an injunction?
The original petitioner is not involved, so it would take Camille Harris to do something different, and to the Brady people who have been involved, though.
Right.
Brady, so they could do it, but that's about it.
So could they stand up and say, "Hey, look, this ruling that you guys have ruled on actually violates our state law"?
Yeah.
Can we have a ruling?
Could she
on this?
find? Could she find something in the courts that yeah? But that's another lawsuit. That's not according to this one. She'd have to sue that.
Interesting.
Okay, let's just take a major one that just happened that a lot of people don't understand what really happened.
Okay.
The people of California voted that we.
Well, it looks like we might have a call on the line. No, and darn it.
It looked like it, though.
Ow.
Anyway, the people voted for Prop 8. Remember? That's the
Yes.
marriage thing, right? They voted it in. Became law. It's a law. They voted it in, had a certain time. Okay. But the courts overturned that, okay, in California.
Right.
They overturned it. The day that the overturned was final, people started getting married.
I remember seeing it on
Yeah,
the news.
the day.
That's true.
That day.
They were doing it on the courthouse steps in San Francisco. I saw it.
Firing line, Mr. Jim.
I wonder, because then they stopped it.
Okay, hold on.
And what happens to the validity of that marriage then? I don't know.
I don't know.
Even though they got married. Sorry, we had somebody on the line and the call dropped. We're having some problems. We really apologize today, folks, but we are having problems with phones, with microphones. I'm talking on a microphone that's pretty far away from me. Anyway.
Hello.
Anyway, even though you get married.
Okay.
Okay. Now, this is weird, but even though you get married, do you know that they cannot overturn that marriage license and it's legal until it's not legal? Even though it goes into another court and they're not marrying anybody any longer, the marriage that happened underneath what you did is still legal.
Wow.
That's weird.
There's so much to be learned about all this stuff. And this is why we're the information channel or show. And hopefully we're not confusing you too much out there, because this is a lot to deal with, a lot to take in, and it makes a lot of change in our state.
Okay.
I don't know. Kanani, what do you think out of all this is the most, I don't know, what stands out the most out of all this? What's the most concerning question you have out of all this, or the best statement out of all this?
It's interesting how the law works at tiny steps, that there is this one case in one county for one guy with one sheriff, and when that's get decided, then how does that affect everything else? And that we don't have a straightforward answer quite yet, at least until the Ninth Circuit says one way or the other. I mean, we're kind of in limbo, it feels like.
It does feel that way.
That's what it feels like to me too. It's just it's unsure of, okay, is it really this one or that one? And what do I do right now?
Yeah, and how does that apply to me? Like, when does that make a difference for what I can do and what I can apply for? And
if I was in San Diego, I might have a little bit stronger thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, well, who we got a caller? Who do we got on the phone there?
Good morning, gentlemen and ladies. This is John.
Holy moly, it's John.
How are you doing?
Okay, let me throw some into this, okay?
Great.
Here's what you have. You have a motion denial for them to intervene in the current case.
Okay.
Which means they won't allow them to hear.
John, you are breaking up. Are you on a cell phone?
Well, try to not let me break up. How you doing now?
I'm doing better. Thank you. I feel much better.
Yes, I am on a cell phone. Tell me when you don't hear me.
Okay.
Okay, so this is a decision to not intervene in their decision.
So then it's already done.
No. It can happen now. It can have at least one judge from the Ninth Circuit appeal it, or you can have Miss Harris appeal it to the Ninth Circuit or the Supreme Court simultaneously. And what that would do would tie this case up for years, because it would take a while for the Supreme Court to get to it.
Interesting.
Are you following me now?
Yeah.
Okay. It's not that the case is done. It's not done. The decision is not to intervene in the decision, but it can be appealed. And she has two choices. She can appeal it, or she can let it stand. And we'll take bets on which avenue she'll approach.
Okay, pardon me for interrupting you. If this court case is ongoing, or is it ruled on already?
What happens is they have ruled that it is unconstitutional.
Okay.
Okay, so now you have, how many counties is it that have changed their policies and shall issue?
Quite a few.
Okay, so now the rest of the counties actually do not have to until Harris makes her decision on whether she's going to let it stand, and if she lets it stand, it's law. If she appeals it, then it goes back into limbo. And then it goes back to the counties to make their determination on how they want to issue shall or shall not.
Okay, so basically she's being told she can't intervene on this county's case, but being that she's the attorney general, she can speak for all the other counties.
Yeah, she's put on her big girl panties and she'll go up the line.
Okay. That is interesting. So then...
That's my interpretation. And each one of you seem to have a different interpretation from each other. But I think that my interpretation is a little more solid than your speculation.
Well, thanks for calling, John. We got to go take a break right now. We'll be back in a few minutes with more On the Firing Line.
We'll be back to more of On the Firing Line with Joe and Jim after this.
This is On the Firing Line with Matt, Jim, and Joe. We'll be right back with you on the firing line. If you have any questions, give us a call at 888-625-1440 or in the Santa Maria area, 928-1440. Don't forget, you can always listen in on am1440.com.
Tactical Guns and Gear is the Central Coast leader in tactical rifles, pistols, shotguns, and accessories. Building an AR-15, they have lower receivers, parts kits, trigger groups, and a ton of other AR parts from the most popular companies and stuff.
They are also the home of the Women's 101 Firearms and Women's Advanced Pistol classes and have trained thousands of local ladies.
The store is located off the 101 freeway in Santa Maria near the North Broadway exit. Look for the big rifle sign on the freeway as well as the giant 5-ton Tactical military truck, and they're now open on Mondays. America!
On the Firing Line is happy to have Law Offices of Christopher Coleman as a sponsor. The Law Offices of Christopher Coleman is located in Santa Barbara on 2019B State Street, specializing in personal injury and, more importantly, the Second Amendment and On the Firing Line with Matt and Joe. Give them a call at 805-682-3352, serving the Santa Barbara, Santa Maria, and San Luis Obispo areas for over 25 years.
On the air with the Midnight Mystic is one of our regular callers, truck driver Charlie.
Boy, I just seen another one, Midnight Mystic.
Another Griffin, Charlie?
I'm telling you, they're all over the Central Coast now.
How long have you been on the road now, Charlie?
2, 5, 8 weeks, I don't know.
Perhaps you should park the truck and get some sleep, and maybe the Griffins will disappear.
Well, there it is again. I'm going after it.
What does it look like, Charlie?
Holy mackerel. It's got the body of a lion and the head of an eagle.
Is it flying, Charlie?
It's on the side of a white truck.
Is it a Griffin plumbing truck, Charlie?
Could be. I don't know. I'm pulling right up to it.
We seem to have lost contact with Charlie, but I'm sure he'll be okay because Griffins, just like the good folks at Griffin Plumbing, are here to protect and serve. In fact, if your plumbing devices are threatened in any way,
call the Griffin.
Find us at callgriffinplumbing.com or call 934-1949.
You are on the firing line with Joe, Matt, and Connie.
That's right. You heard it. You're back on the firing line. Give us a call at 1-888-625-1440, or if you're in the local Santa Maria area, 928-1440. So we got about 5 more minutes to hang out and get down. So this is all very, very confusing to this guy right here. This
it's confusing to me too.
Average Joe shooter is confused.
I am not the average Joe, just so you know.
Dun, 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 dun.
But we love you, Joe.
Oh, man.
I'll tell you what, John made a lot of sense, and he's got a lot of knowledge, in law and working with the state to be able to make a determination. I believe what this guy says. Almost all the time. Almost.
I don't know. we got to be careful of our callers. It's nice to have faith in them, but we've never met these people. We don't know their background or what they're. They could be totally spoofing us here.
Yeah.
So,
anybody with the name of John that calls in.
John does seem to know what he's talking about.
All right, we'll go.
Well, at least he can say it clearly, so it's straightforward, and we can work it out with all the other stuff.
Seems like a nice man.
Yeah.
He seems like a nice man. Hey, we have a lot of, or actually at least a few articles. I was going to say a lot, but a lot could mean a lot. So, with these articles that we've posted on our outline, you can go to our Facebook page, read about this, make your own decision, come to your own determination, do some investigation into this. Yes. I would like to see anybody out there who wants a CCW, who has the mindset, the honesty, and good about people. There's a word I'm looking for, and right now I'm coming to a blank.
Ethics?
Ethics. The good ethics to own a firearm should be able to have that CCW if they want to, and I hope that they have them and that they are given these guns, because we have seen too many cases where people have been hurt because they didn't have the ability to protect themselves, from in-home robberies to being carjacked to having your money taken from you outside of a Walmart.
Yeah.
And I think, go ahead.
No, you first.
I was going to say, I think we've seen a lot of examples where people have used firearms to defend themselves and the other people while they're being carjacked, while they're being robbed in their homes, while they're being, robbed at the ATM or what have you. Yeah. So there's a good mix of those who haven't had it available to them and could have used it, and those who have had it and used it judiciously.
Right. That's a good point. Yeah. And then also, taking it back even more, just for whoever wants to be able to carry a gun, for them to say no, you can't really defend yourself outside the home. That doesn't sit well. I can't imagine that sits well with anybody who is an actual American.
Yeah.
And from there, it stems out, and this is the kind of malarkey that we end up dealing with. So, just that's my thought of it.
No, I agree. To say that you can't defend yourself when you have the ability and equipment to do that with is, sad.
Yeah, and they have the money.
Yeah.
You think you could do the research. They own a computer with Google. Oh, man. Anyway. All right, well, on a more serious note, November will be the last month of the show that we run on the radio. We have enjoyed sharing our thoughts with you and hearing all of your thoughts also. To all our fans, yeah, we got fans. Thank you guys. You guys kick butt. And without your support, we wouldn't have lasted this long at all. Just keep making the monthly payments. I'm trying to read this here, but it's coming from the heart at the same time, Anyway, but long story short is we're calling it here at the show. It does come down to dollars and cents. It costs an absolute lot of money for us to do this show. As much as we love getting out there and getting on the information and learning, and because we learn a lot too here. At least I do. I learn a ton from you guys and our callers and stuff. But this is going to be the last month of it. So at the end of this month, so basically there will not be a December show. So I believe that gives us 2 more shows left.
Yeah.
So all right. So we have two more solid shows of this, and hopefully we can make them 2 shows that we can remember.
Now, it's interesting. We actually had one person put on our Facebook page that he would pitch in $60 a month for a year if we could just stay on the air.
Yeah, which is huge.
That's a lot of money. It's not enough to get this done. And if we did have money fall out of the sky, or somebody wanted to help to make sure that we could keep this going, we would definitely keep the show going. It's come to the point where we can't do it out of our pockets anymore.
Right.
And as much as we wish we could, it doesn't make sense, because it shortchanges our families. It shortchanges what we can enjoy as a better way of life. And I believe we've put enough into this for 6 years to fight for you guys, because that's what we believed in doing and wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And I'm not ashamed. I'm not sad that I did it, or I don't think that any of us are. And that's where it stands right now. I hate to say goodbye. It's like,
yeah, but we're not saying it yet. That's for sure. We're just letting people know we still have a couple shows left, but just be prepared. That's all. And so with that said, make sure you get your comments on Facebook, get your ideas ready to call in over the next week or two. and get some things out that maybe you thought weren't appropriate for other shows or you didn't quite, have the time for. Make time for them over the next couple weeks. So, give us a call and tune back in, next couple weeks. We'll still be here. Anything else from anybody?
Thank you, John, for giving us a call. We love those phone calls.
And as always, have a nice day. I'm getting the countdown.
Same time, same place.
All right, on the firing line.